Number 10. Kid Cudi. The day and night singer was in the middle of a concert in 2009 at Vancouver's Commodore Ballroom when a random and bizarre game of Whose Wallet Is This began being played. Cudi picked up a wallet that had been thrown on stage by a fan, and when he attempted to toss it back into the audience, he apparently missed the person that it belonged to, and it landed in the hands of poor Michael Sharp. Michael was a big Kid Cudi fan, and in this moment, all he wanted to do was return the wallet to its rightful owner, which wasn't him. So he lightly tossed it back on stage, and that's when Kid Cudi snapped. He made eye contact with Michael and leaped at him, wildly flailing his arms around and eventually making contact with his face. At the end of the day, Michael decided not to press any charges, and we're not sure if that wallet ever got returned. Maybe Cudi keeps it in his pocket on stage now and just squeezes it when he's upset like a stress wallet. Imagine being at one of his shows and he's just on stage like, day and night, I want the bonus down the family. Number 9. Rihanna. If you've ever felt the urge to grab someone's clothes, especially a performer without their consent, allow me to inform you why that's not a good idea. Rihanna is known for many things around the world, mainly her ability to sing and dance, but what many people should know is that she is a Jedi with a microphone. During a concert in 2013 as part of her Diamonds World Tour, a fan at her Birmingham concert decided that she couldn't contain her excitement when Rihanna stepped into the crowd to greet fans while performing her hit single, We Found Love. As she made her way through the crowd, the fan in question reached over her bodyguards and got a grip of her elbow and sleeve and just tugged as hard as she could. And Rihanna was not having any of that. She turned to the fan, bopped her on the head with a microphone, and walked back on stage. Just being calm the entire time too, just like, Following the slew of anger she received for what many people consider to be an overreaction, she claimed that the whole thing was an accident. Yes, because swinging a 5-pound microphone at someone's head happens all the time, right? Well, apparently it does. Number 8. Lindsay Lohan. The Parent Trap star got herself trapped in a sticky situation that left her looking like a mean girl. Get it? In 2012, Lindsay was chilling in the VIP section of Club Avenue in New York City when she was approached by a woman named Tiffany Ava Mitchell. Mitchell is a psychic from Palm Beach, Florida, who, according to Extra TV, has been having premonitions about people since the age of 10. She saw Lindsay from across the room and felt inclined to tell her about her future. Lindsay was neither amused nor interested in what she had to say and dismissed her immediately. Oddly enough, though, her premonition was super negative. Apparently, Lindsay was in for a rough few years, but that never happened, right? Right, Lindsay? Right, Lindsay Lohan's PR team? She reportedly got furious with Tiffany and punched her in the face while calling her a gypsy woman. She was charged with third-degree swatting. While she was able to see that Lohan was headed for a rocky road, apparently she did not see that little tiny fist coming towards her face. Number 7. Cardi B. For some reason, people really like to throw stuff at people mid-performance, and Cardi is one of the many celebrities being targeted with thrown items while performing in this past year. During a show in Las Vegas last Saturday, Cardi was performing outdoors when a fan suddenly threw a drink on her mid-song, and in response, Cardi paused and whipped the microphone at them. Now, I do not condone violence of any kind towards anybody, but may I just say, nice. She handled that very well. The fan was quickly taken out of the crowd by security, and Cardi was handed back her battle axe, microphone. This reaction does not come out of nowhere though. If anything, she's just probably sick of hearing similar things happening to other artists. Harry Styles had to walk off stage at a concert during his Love on Tour show in Vienna. Apparently a fan pelted him in the eye with something, but Harry and Cardi are just some of many artists facing this issue. We're not sure why people are suddenly deciding to throw things at people on stage, but how about some stickers or like a nice thank you letter? Now, why does it have to be drinks and wallets? Number 6. Gigi Hadid. A man who will appear on this list more than once is a mega fan and mega jerk when it comes to interacting with celebrities. Take for instance, Gigi Hadid, a supermodel who was just minding her own business, making her way through a crowd outside of a fashion show in Milan in 2016. She was just trying to get to her car when suddenly a man named Cedric bear hugged her and lifted her off the ground. Hadid snapped like the eye of the tiger was blasting on full in her skull, and she elbowed him in the face and he dropped to the ground, being tossed around like a rag doll by security. This guy actually went online and tried to claim that he was gonna press charges, but everyone was quick to point out that Gigi was well within her rights to defend herself. She could have judo chopped him in the neck and he still would have been fine. Number 5. Justin Bieber. Where do we even begin with this guy? The one-time singer has a long history of negative interactions with fans since his first recorded incident in 2010. Justin was doing a concert in Toronto, and while staying at his hotel, a large crew of fans began to culminate outside the building. He took the opportunity to walk out on his balcony and spit on everybody, over and over, just dropping loogie after loogie. At the time, his representative denied that the footage was even authentic, claiming that TMZ had superimposed a crowd near Justin to make it appear like he was spitting on people. Well, not only did TMZ prove that that wasn't true, but the multiple cell phone cameras and, people with loogies on their heads that were there, they just kind of further proved his guilt. Since then, he's been in the news for reckless driving, public intoxication, he bought a monkey and abandoned it at a zoo, and in most recent years, Justin was on vacation in Mexico and began mooning tourists that were visiting the historic Mayan ruins. Several fans recounted attempting to interact with Bieber, who refused to not only speak to anyone, but he would actually snap and just start mooning them for asking. This all came to a head when Justin announced on Instagram that he would no longer be taking pictures with fans, claiming that the experience always felt dehumanizing. Fans were audibly upset and outraged by this announcement. No shocker there. If Justin wanted calm, cool, and collected fans, well, maybe he should have aimed his talents at an older audience. Number 4. Pitbull. In 2009, a fan made it rain on Pitbull during a concert and he did not have an umbrella. The famous singer was performing at a concert in Colorado when he invited a fan up on stage. The fan was clearly under the influence of something when he was brought up and apparently took the opportunity to make Pitbull look like a fool. The fan whipped out a large wad of crisp dollar bills and fanned them over Pitbull. Now, while it may have been funny at the time, Pitbull was not having any fun. After the fan started throwing the money at him, literally comparing him to a dancer of the night, Pitbull understandably told the man to stop before something bad happened. He told him to stop making it rain, to which the man went, "Oh, let's make it pour, baby!" And when he didn't stop, Pitbull punched him in the face as hard as he could. The man got knocked down, security took him away, and Pitt just kept rapping. He told the crowd that he was a nice guy during the next break to ease the tension. All the while, there was a guy just gargling his teeth in a hospital gurney in the back. Number 3. Akon. Anyone who's ever done stand-up comedy knows just how badly you want to punch a heckler. Hecklers are the worst. They come in, they ruin the show for everyone, and they think that they are the stars. In Akon's case, he did the thing that everybody wanted to do and showed his heckler exactly what happens when you mess with Akon. While performing at an outdoor concert in Fishkill, New York, Akon responded to an obnoxious teen fan in the crowd who had thrown something on stage. Oh look, more things being thrown. He responded by removing his shirt, inviting the fan on stage, lifting him over his shoulders and literally throwing him into the audience like John Cena dropping the attitude adjustment. While the fan was caught by the crowd and no harm was done, Akon was forced to appear a year later in a Fishkill courthouse to plead guilty to reduced charges brought on by the family of the young fan. The fan actually met Akon outside of the courthouse and the two cleared up the situation, but it was his father that wanted the man to pay up. And that is what he did, but he only paid about $350 to be specific. He was forced to serve 65 hours of community service and the money was just more of a gesture, because he's worth over $80 million. Thankfully, the parents didn't seem to know that, or this story may have ended very differently. Number 2. Will Smith. Yes, Will Smith is on the list of people who have snapped at their fans, but it's not for what happened at the Oscars, okay? Chris Rock is not a fan. Apparently, Will has been swatting and slapping for a long time now. To his credit, though, he was able to hold back a lot considering this circumstance. In 2012, during the red carpet premiere of Men in Black 2, Will was taking interviews left and right, and one man named Vitaly Sejic, previously mentioned on this list, who's a Ukrainian prank star, pretended to be a journalist and started interviewing Will. While the interview itself is pure gibberish on Vitaly's part, the situation quickly took a turn when he tried to embrace Will in a hug. And at first, Will plays along and everything's fine, but then Vitaly goes in for a kiss. Smith's instinct kicked in and he threw Vitaly back away from himself. He asked him what his problem was before backhanding him and the crowd just roared. You see, in 2012, he was being cheered for smacking someone, and in 10 years later, he was canceled for doing the same thing to Chris Rock. Isn't that nice? Except Rock was just doing his job in that case, and this guy was being a jerk and deserved all of the backhands that Will was capable of. And at number 1, Kevin Gates. The famous rapper known around the world, Kevin Gates was forced to do a little bit of jail time following an incident on stage at a concert in 2015. Gates was performing at a club in Florida when a woman reached out for him in the front row. Anybody reaching at anyone that you don't know is jarring enough, but being in the middle of a concert, his ninja mode kicked in. During a video released to TMZ, a woman is seen simply trying to grab his leg in excitement like, "Oh my god, I love you." But his response to that light squeeze was a crane kick to the nose. Just whatcha! He just whips his leg towards the lady with full force. The woman he kicked is seen confused and in pain as she makes her way through the crowd and out of the venue. Apparently nobody saw or cared what happened because moments later later, they cheered him on stage for his next song. Not long after this show though, charges were filed by the former fan, and Kevin was forced to spend 180 days in Polk County Jail. He was eventually released, but he was forced to wear a brace on his knee that prevents him from ever kicking someone ever again. Now that last part's made up, but that would be funny though, just watching a guy walk around like, come on, come at me, Kevin. He's just like, I'm gonna get you. Number 10, Rihanna. If you've ever felt the urge to grab someone's clothes, especially a performer without their consent, allow me to inform you why that may be a bad idea. Rihanna is known for many things around the world, mainly her ability to sing and dance, but what many people should know is that she is a Jedi with a microphone. During a concert in 2013, as part of her Diamonds World Tour, a fan at her Birmingham concert decided that she couldn't contain her excitement when Rihanna stepped into the crowd to greet fans while performing her hit single, We Found Love. As she made her way through the crowd, the fan in question reached over her bodyguards and got a grip of her elbow sleeve and started tugging at it. Rihanna was having none of that. She turned to the fan, bopped her on the head with the microphone, and walked back on stage. Apparently calm the entire time, just like, no. Following the slew of anger she received for what many consider to be an overreaction, she claimed that the whole thing was an accident. Yes, because swinging a 5-pound microphone at someone's head happens all the time, right? Number 9, Pitbull. In 2009, a fan made it rain on Pitbull during a concert, and he did not have an umbrella. The famous singer was performing at a concert in Colorado when he invites a fan up on stage. The fan was clearly under the influence of something when he was brought up, and apparently took the opportunity to make Pitbull look like a fool. The fan whipped out a large wad of crisp dollar bills and fanned them over Pitbull. While it may have been funny at the time, Pitbull was not having any fun at all. After the fan started throwing the money at him, literally comparing him to a dancer of the night, Pitbull understandably told the man to stop before something bad happens. He told him just stop making it rain, to which the man went, let's make it pour, baby! When he didn't stop, Pitbull punched him in the face hard. The man got knocked down, security took him away, and Pitt just kept rapping. He told the crowd that he was a nice guy during the next break to ease the tension, all the while there was some guy gargling his teeth in a hospital gurney. Number 8, Shia LaBeouf. In 2017, Shia LaBeouf had already began making a name for himself as a little bit of a crazy guy, thanks to both his antics on set and his actions beyond the screen. Get it? That's the name of the channel. In 2017, an online art exhibition created by Shia was shut down by a museum in Queens. The exhibition was intended as a rebuke to Donald Trump's presidency. The exhibit hinged on a video camera mounted onto the outside of the Museum of Moving Images in Astoria, Queens. While people were walking by, they were encouraged to participate in the art exhibit by repeating the phrase, "He will not divide us," into the camera. This was a 24/7 stream that was supposed to send a message to Donnie, but it instead showed the world just how good of a fighter that Shia was. Shia had made a few appearances on the piece, and at one point a man claiming himself to be something that I can't say online, but it rhymes with Yahtzee, approached Shia and began spewing his toxic garbage right into his face. And that's when Shia decked the man and knocked him down. Now, I don't condone violence in any way, but that was fun to watch. Unfortunately, the incident had Shia arrested, and it's still illegal to fight a stranger no matter how much you want to. While this dude was definitely not a fan, it deserves to be mentioned that a supremacist got his teeth caved in by Louis Stevens. So, good job. Number 7, Justin Bieber. Where do we even begin with this man? The one-time singer has had a long history of negative interactions with fans since the first recorded incident in 2010. Justin was doing a concert in Toronto. While staying at his hotel, a large crew of fans began to culminate outside of the building. He took the opportunity to walk out onto his balcony and spit on his fans, over and over, just dropping loogie after loogie. At the time, his representatives denied that the footage was authentic, claiming that TMZ had superimposed a crowd near Justin to make it appear that he was spitting on people. Not only did TMZ prove that that wasn't true, the multiple cell cameras that captured the event just further proved his guilt. Since then, he's been in the news for reckless driving, public intoxication, he bought a monkey and abandoned it at a zoo, and in most recent years, he was on a vacation in Mexico when he started mooning tourists that were visiting the historic Mayan ruins. Several fans were counted attempting to interact with Bieber, who refused not only to speak to anyone, but he actually started mooning them for asking. This all came to a head when he announced on Instagram that he would no longer be taking pictures with fans, claiming that the experience always felt dehumanizing. Oh well, no one wants to take a picture with you anyway, Justin. You spit on people. Spit's not fun. Number 6. Tobey Maguire. The paparazzi aren't always grimy little gnomes trying to make a quick buck. Sometimes they're just fans who want a photo op with their favorite actor in the world. After 2003, that actor for a lot of people was Tobey Maguire, thanks to the massive success of his performance as Peter Parker in what many called the first live-action Spider-Man movie, but they apparently forgot about the 1978 Japanese version which is that's fair. That's very fair. It's a bad movie. Sam Raimi's trilogy made Tobey a staple in the world of nerd culture, trying to blend into a crowd of paparazzi to snap a pic with Spidey. Well, Tobey can. In a video released in 2012, Tobey is seen trying to make his way through a crowd of paparazzi. He honks his horn over and over, trying to get them out of his way, but his screams are muffled by the clicks of cameras and some dude yelling his name like, "Tobey!" Tobey covers his face, but is forced to open his window and yell at the man in his way. One cameraman was just a little bit too close to the car though, and Tobey swung the door wide open, knocking him down and his camera back with him. Tobey drove away, but reportedly that fall caused a crack in the lens, and the paparazzi chameleon never got his photo op with Spidey. Luckily, there's like 30 people dressed as Spider-Man on the streets of LA, so I don't know, find all 30 and collect them all. Number 5. Kevin Gates. The famous rapper known around the world, Kevin Gates was forced to do a little bit of jail time following an incident on stage at a concert in 2015. Gates was performing at a club in Florida when a woman reached for him in the front row. Now, anybody reaching at anyone that you don't know is jarring enough, but being in the middle of a concert, his ninja mode kicked in. During a video released to TMZ, a woman is seen simply trying to just grab his leg in excitement like, "Oh my god, I love you!" And his response to that light squeeze was a crane kick to the nose. He just whips his leg towards this lady with full force. The woman he kicked is seen confused and in pain before she starts making her way through the crowd and out of the venue. Apparently nobody saw or cared what happened because moments later the crowd cheers him onto the stage. Not long after that though, charges were filed by the former fan, and Kevin was forced to spend 180 days in Polk County Jail. He was eventually released but was forced to wear a brace on his knee that prevents him from ever kicking someone ever again. Okay, that last part is made up, but that would be very funny. Just like, "Come on, Kevin, come get me." And he Number 4. Lindsay Lohan. The Parent Trap star got herself trapped in a sticky situation that left her looking like a mean girl. Get it? In 2012, Lindsay was chilling in the VIP section of Club Avenue in New York City when she was approached by a woman named Tiffany Ava Mitchell. Mitchell is a psychic from Palm Beach, Florida, who, according to Extra TV, has been having premonitions about people since the age of 10. She saw Lindsay from across the room and just felt inclined to tell her about the future. Lindsay was neither amused nor interested in what this woman had to say and dismissed her immediately. Oddly enough though, her premonition was super negative. Apparently Lindsay was in for a rough few years, but that never happened. That never happened, right? That never happened, right, Lindsay? Right, Lindsay's parole officer? That never happened. She reportedly got furious with Tiffany and actually punched her in the face while calling her a gypsy woman. She was charged with third-degree swatting. While she was able to see that Lohan was headed for a rocky road, apparently Tiffany did not see that a little tiny fist on Lindsay's arm was coming towards her face. Number 3. Ron Artest. In 2004, while playing for the Indiana Pacers, forward Ron Artest became very heated during a game, to the point that he jumped over the scorer's table during a regular season away game. According to Artest, during that game, a fan had been throwing drinks at him. The crowd was so riled up from the game that they forgot that the players were not only real people, they were real tall and strong people. During a break in the game, Artest just lost it. He crawled over a score table, ran into the stands, and began punching the ever-loving life out of this man. Physical violence is never the answer to a situation, especially one in which your career could be cancelled, which is kinda what happened. While his teammates were very much on his side and defended his actions, the situation forced Ron to forfeit over $10 million in paychecks, and 146 games were lost to suspension. The incident is still considered to be one of the most violent altercations in the NBA history, but Ron did make a return to basketball and retired in 2017, now free to spend his days throwing drinks at anybody he wants. Number 2. Akon. Anyone who has ever done stand-up comedy knows just how badly you want to punch a heckler. Like, hecklers are the worst. They just come in, they ruin the show for everyone, and they think they are the stars. In Akon's case, he did the thing that we have always wanted to do and showed his heckler exactly what happens when you mess with the talent. While performing at an outdoor concert in Fishkill, New York, Akon responded to an obnoxious obnoxious teen fan in the crowd who had thrown something on stage. He responded by removing his shirt, inviting the fan on stage, lifting him over his shoulders and literally throwing him into the audience like John Cena dropping the attitude adjustment. While the fan was caught by the crowd and no harm was done, Akon was forced to appear a year later in a Fishkill courthouse to plead guilty to reduced charges brought on by the family of the young fan. Fan actually met Akon outside of the courthouse and the two cleared up the situation, but the fan's father wanted this man to pay, and that's what he did. Paid $350 to be specific, and he was forced to serve 65 hours of community service. The money was just a gesture clearly because he's worth over $80 million. Thankfully the parents didn't seem to know that, or else this might have ended very differently. Number 1. Will Smith. Yes, Will Smith is on the list of people that hit their fans, but no, it is not for what happened at the Oscars, I promise. Apparently Will has been swatting and slapping for a long time now. To his credit, he was able to hold back a lot considering the circumstances. In 2012, during the red carpet premiere of Men in Black 3, Will was taking interviews left and right. One man, named Vitaly Sediuk, a Ukrainian prank star, pretended to be a journalist and began interviewing Will. And I do apologize if I got his name wrong, but at the end of this you probably won't care. While the interview itself is pure gibberish on Vitaly's part, the situation quickly took a turn when he tries to embrace Will in a hug. At first Will plays along with it and everything is fine, but then Vitaly goes in for a kiss. Smith's instinct kicked in and he threw Vitaly back away from himself. He then asked, "Hey, what's the problem here, man?" and then backhanded him as the crowd roared. In 2012, he was being cheered for smacking someone, and then 10 years later, he was cancelled for doing the exact same thing to Chris Rock. Except Rock was just doing his job in that case. This guy was being an absolute jerk and deserved all the backhands that Will was capable of. Number 10. Rihanna. Riri is a rude lady, according to some of her fans at least. A fan shared their story of a co-worker who experienced firsthand just how cold she can be. They told Hollywood Insider they had won free tickets and backstage passes from a radio concert. When it came time for the co-worker and her kids to meet Rihanna, she was sitting at her makeup booth and just refused to face them. When the young fans asked if they could get her autograph, she instructed a nearby backup dancer to forge her signature before just shooing them away like an actual villain, like, "Oh, you want my love? Shoo." In 2016, she further added fuel to the fire when she shared a photo of a young fan wearing a dress inspired by Rihanna's Wile E. Coyote themed costume that she had worn at an awards show a few years prior. She wrote, "Dark thought rises," with the hashtag PromBat. She shared that post with millions of people, alienating countless fans and ruining one fan's prom memories for the rest of their lives. By the way, I looked it up. If someone calls you a thought, slap them across the face 3 times. Number 9. Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett is an incredible performer, but did you know that she was terrible to her fans? A few years ago, Scarlett was starring in a play on Broadway, and following one of the shows, a small number of fans waited outside the backstage doors in an attempt to get her signature for their playbills. The person who revealed this story on Reddit claims that there were roughly 15 people waiting outside in the winter, freezing their butts off just to get a signature. Every single cast member that came through that door signed everyone's playbills and moved on with their lives, but when Scarlett came out of the door, she completely ignored everybody. The crowd had been waiting for the lead of the show for over an hour, saying it was a devastating blow when she snuffed the crowd and just moved on. This isn't the only time this has happened. If Scarlett isn't on a red carpet event, just don't even try. It's not happening. If you've ever spotted Scarlett in public, maybe just don't pull out your cell phone and aim it at her, because apparently she hates that. Scarlett said herself that she doesn't like to be photographed in general, let alone by some super sleuth fanboy who's standing across the street like, "Oh, it's Black Widow." Number 8. Justin Bieber. Where do we even begin with this guy? The one-time singer has had a long history of negative interactions with fans since his first recorded incident in 2010. Justin was doing a concert in Toronto, and while staying at his hotel, a large crew of fans began to culminate outside of his building. He took the opportunity to walk out onto his balcony and spit on his fans over and over again, just dropping loogie after loogie. At the time, his representatives denied that the footage was authentic, claiming that TMZ had superimposed a crowd near Justin to make it appear that he was spitting on people. Not only did TMZ prove that that wasn't true, the multiple cell phone cameras that captured the event just further proved his guilt. Since then, he's been in the news for reckless driving, public intoxication, he bought a monkey and abandoned it at a zoo, and And in most recent years, Justin was on vacation in Mexico when he began mooning tourists visiting the historic Mayan ruins. Several fans recounted attempting to interact with Bieber, who refused to not only speak to anyone, but he would actually start mooning them for asking. This all came to a head when Justin announced on Instagram he would no longer be taking pictures with fans, claiming that the experience always just feels dehumanizing. Fans were audibly upset and outraged by the announcement. No shocker there, if Justin just wanted calm, cool, and collected fans, maybe he shouldn't have aimed his talents at younger audiences. Number 7. Sandra Bullock. If you didn't know about this one already, you may see Sandra in a bit of a different light after this. Sandra has been starring in blockbuster flicks since the early 90s, maintaining a steady career starring in everything from comedies to Oscar-worthy dramas. In 2012, however, she went ballistic on a fan for simply asking if he could take a picture with her. And I know what you're thinking, Nate, that's not very rude. It's a very valid reaction to being asked by a stranger if they could take a pic. Well, let me ask you this. What if that stranger was a wheelchair-bound veteran? According to the person who was acting as her assistant at the time, a fan and veteran of the US Army approached Sandra for a simple autograph and just to say hello. But Sandra flipped at the man, covered her face, and yelled at him to leave her alone. Needless to say, the internet did not like that at all and bashed Sandra in any format possible. Now, when you Google her name, instead of a poster for Gravity, it's just a picture of a guy wearing camo with the caption, "Why, Sandra?" Number 6. Ariana Grande. Ariana first rose to fame as an actor on the hit Nick series Victorious as the lovable, dim-witted redhead Cat Valentine. Since then, she has gone on to have one of the more successful careers in recent pop history. With all that fame, though, apparently comes arrogance, as she's also known to define the word diva. She once left a meet and greet because she didn't like the way the photos were turning out, and those people paid hundreds of dollars, and she was just like, ew. In 2015, a video surfaced of Ariana visiting a California donut shop. The owners were beyond excited to see her until she started licking donuts and putting them back on the shelves. According to the shop owners, those donuts were never paid for and had to be thrown away. They really should have preserved them though and sold them online. Some people are weird. This incident alone got her nixed from performing at a White House event, despite multiple public apologies. The darkest of stories comes from a Hollywood insider and has not been confirmed to be 100% true, but the man in question was working with Ariana at a signing event. She was all smiles until the event was over, and when they entered the elevator, according to them, her first words as the doors closed were, "I hope they all frickin' perish." While we hope that's not true, would it really be all that surprising? I mean, she's hiding some anger, right? Number 5. Madonna. The queen of pop has a reputation for being cruel to her loyal subjects. One Reddit user claims to have seen Madonna signing "FU" instead of her name on fans' posters, but that was apparently not an isolated incident. According to the Daily Mail, Donna berated her fans in 2015 for having the nerve to be upset with the artist for showing up an hour late to her own concert in Manchester, England. She grabbed the mic, called them all impatient B-words, and told them to shut up. If that's not bad enough, she singled out a fan at a separate concert not long after that, and the fan was brought on stage and asked to sing "Open Your Heart" with Madonna. But when she didn't know the lyrics, the pop queen popped off. She said, "Really? You don't know the song? Shame on you." What's worse about that specific ordeal is that the fan was wearing a shirt that literally had the album cover from "Open Your Heart" printed on its chest. Hey man, if Steven Tyler gave me a mic and said "Sing Dream On," I'd also forget the lyrics cause hey, Steven Tyler just gave me a microphone. Number 4. Cameron Diaz. Somebody once told me the world was macaroni. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Cameron Diaz broke onto the silver screen starring alongside comedy legend Jim Carrey in his 1995 masterpiece The Mask. Since then, she's had a solid career but hasn't always been busy per se. In the early and mid 2000s, Cameron was casted in several critically acclaimed flicks like Being John Malkovich, Charlie's Angels, and she even lends her voice to Princess Fiona in the much-loved animated series Shrek. Unfortunately, Cameron is notorious for being cold towards her fans, with many reporting that when she does interact with them, it's usually to rant about their actions and why they should just leave her alone. In 2014, at the premiere of her comedy flick with Jason Segel, I can't say the title, you just gotta Google it, few fans were waiting outside the theater to ask Cameron for some photos and a few autographs. When she exited the theater, there were literally like 5 or 6 people waiting. Yet Cameron claimed that she didn't have any time to oblige their requests, and if she did it for them, she would have to do it for everybody. Okay, well everybody in that situation was 6 people, and it would have taken her less time to snap the pics and write her name than it did to rant at her fans and ruin their night. She She's been on an acting hiatus for a few years now, only recently coming back into the mainstream with the announcement of her co-starring role in the film Back in Action alongside Jamie Foxx. Good news is she's got plenty of time to sign stuff now cause hey, she's retired. Number 3. William Shatner. I'm getting a strange signal from a planet below. It's a video of William Shatner being a jerk. Captain Kirk has been a sci-fi legend since the inception of the television series Star Trek in 1966, and Shatner himself is considered to be the king of the nerds. Unfortunately, if you are a nerd, Shatner is the high school jock about to give you a wedgie. According to several volunteers from conventions, sponsorship deals, and even some cast and crew, Shatner's just a straight up duck. Wait, no, that's not the right word. Apparently, he has a history of making people cry that are trying to work with him. He's also told fans that if they didn't pose a certain way, that he would refuse to take a photo with them, even if they had already paid up. He's also known to give fans the silent treatment when they forked over hundreds of dollars just to get the guy's autograph. If you've ever paid for a pic or signature and didn't talk to him though, it seems like you might have gotten off scot-free. In 2018, Shatner took to Twitter to update his fans on his policy for signatures. He literally told people to just not ask. He doesn't like to do it in public, so if you don't like it, beat it. Seriously, how could a man who stuttered his way into sci-fi history act like such a bully from the 80s? Hey man, you're not cool enough to get my autograph, you nerd. Number 2. Will Ferrell. Will is actually not a bad guy at all. He's just one of those celebrities that are extroverted on screen, but they're just shy and awkward in real life, and sometimes that can be seen as rude. According to Autograph magazine, Will is the worst when it comes to signing anything. 9 times out of 10, he mocks people, taunts them, and embarrasses them for even thinking that he would sign something. It appears that his awkwardly mean persona follows him on set too. A Reddit user shared a story of spotting Will Ferrell filming a movie near their home. After watching Will for a bit, he spent most of his time in between takes berating staff members, and while he may try to poke at people in a fun way, nothing is fun about an A-list celebrity walking up to you and telling you that you suck at your job. In fact, that sounds like the most stressful thing anyone could do in that position. While there are a lot of stories showcasing Will's good experiences, the bad unfortunately outweigh them all, and he's known by fans across the world as a bit of a jerky turkey. And at number 1, Mike Myers. He's Canadian. He's a comedian. How could this guy be a meanie bobini? Well, it turns out it's his default setting. Mike may be well known in the world of Hollywood as a funny man, but to his fans, he's known as a short-tempered madman. One experience was shared with the media outlet Me and Stars, in which a fan told a story of running into Mike at a bar, with the experience being as disastrous as the Love Guru. Like anything could be so bad. The guy walked up and told Mike he was a big fan and offered to buy him a drink, to which Mike replied, "Hey, I can afford my own drinks, you a-hole. Save the cash for my next movie." There are several instances, both on and off set, showcasing his difficulty working with people. His Cat in the Hat co-star, sorry, I just get weird flashbacks when I talk about that movie. His co-star Amy Hill claimed that he had handlers dress his entire trailer and his work area was entirely covered with tenting because he just didn't want anybody to physically see him. Maybe his reputation as a difficult Donnie has something to do with Hollywood seemingly blacklisting him from appearing as a lead in anything until his recent show The Pentaverate aired on Netflix. Or maybe it was because he delivered one of the most racist performances of all time in The Love Guru. Yeah, that's probably it.
Number 10. Elon Musk. There have been a few controversies when it comes to Elon Musk potentially scamming his supporters, but I'm going to focus mainly on his stuff as it pertains to Twitter. Oh, what a place. Well, he's done some stuff that has shaken up the market in shocking ways, and Tesla has made some questionable moves in terms of how it markets certain features. Twitter, for me, has felt like one of the biggest scams because it directly impacts everyone on the platform. We're talking about the coveted blue checkmark. We're talking about Twitter Blue, baby. Or perhaps, I guess I should say, the less than coveted blue checkmark now. When Elon Musk bought the platform, one of the first changes he implemented was opening up the checkmark to all. For a price. Initially, he had said he basically wanted to make sure that everyone could access the blue checkmark to easily verify who was human as opposed to, being bots, saying the checkmark should be used for just that, discerning humans from robots. But then he changed his tune somewhat when verification became a money grab for anyone with a credit card. No real verification process seemingly required, at least not as far as I've heard. I have not paid for the blue checkmark, so I don't know. People were so against this policy that people who had checkmarks actually wanted to give them up almost as soon as this was implemented, not wanting to have something attached to their name that makes it look like they endorse this method of verification. They were like, if that's what it's gonna be, then I'm good, I'll just pass. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Beyond the Screen, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up for all those poor people out there that have been scammed that definitely could have benefited from probably hearing this list before they were scammed by someone. That'd have been helpful. Number 9. Ezra Miller. Miller once claimed that videos of them involving them getting into an altercation in a bar with patrons who Miller claimed made the first move were taken in part to create NFT crypto art. Although I don't know if any NFTs were actually ever made as a result of those videos that Ezra Miller made when they were being, according to their account, mistreated. Whether or not they did though, this still kind of sounds like a giant scam. Even without any NFTs being made from this content, I always kind of feel like Miller might be scamming us all. Number 8. Jared Leto. Well, really not just Jared Leto, but also kind of the entire band of 30 Seconds to Mars, of which Jared Leto is the main singer. Jared Leto and his band notoriously have an island dubbed Mars Island where extremely devoted fans can go to celebrate their love of the band. Some folks have called this a cult, and based on some pictures we've seen, it seems like it maybe could be a cult. However, based on what I've read, it seems more likely that this island is kind of perhaps a scam? Either something that is orchestrated for publicity or actually a place that people can pay to go that promises a live concert with the band but actually only ends with Jared Leto giving them a speech while kind of dressed like Jesus. Although we won't know for sure what the island truly is like until we can actually talk to someone who is gone, or get an invite ourselves. So Jared, if you're watching this, if you want to invite me, I'm actually down to go to clarify what's really happening on Mars Island. I've never joined a cult before, so I mean, hey, why not? If that is what it is. I don't know. Number 7. Tana Mojo. The resell scam. Tana is no stranger to controversy, but one of her controversies, or perhaps a few, have involved her being called out by folks and fans on the internet who claim that she is scamming people. In one TikTok responding to the issue, user ShutUpDumbBith shows a TikTok of Tana in a set from her own lingerie shoot for her line, Tana is Uncensored. And in the same video, the user also cuts to what appears to be the exact same lingerie set being sold on Shein for $12. Reselling, of course, might not be illegal. In fact, I don't believe it is. But it sure does feel like a scam when the markup is more than 100% in cost. So I understand why people felt scammed by this. Number 6. Khloe Kardashian. You know it's bad when celebrity trainers who have worked with your own family are kinda calling you out. For this point, we're talking about Khloe Kardashian's promotion of flat tummy tea and flat tummy shakes. Though honestly, she isn't the only Kardashian who's guilty of this. The flat tummy shakes that Khloe was seen promoting online a few years back aren't even FDA approved and have no actual medical or scientific evidence cited to back them up, or at least they didn't at the time. When asked to comment, even a trainer who had actually worked with Kim, Sebastian Legree, offered, "There is no magic pill, it's just hard work, discipline, and consistency. The slow and steady approach is the best." Also, y'all don't take diet things, they're dangerous for you. There's a lot of stuff in there you don't really know and it can mess you up. You might end up worse off than you were before. Just make your body feel good. Eat things that make you feel good. Do motions that make you feel good. That's the best way, I think. Number 5. Gwyneth Paltrow. When it comes to Paltrow, a lot of people mainly take issue with her company Goop and all the expensive products that the company claims are good for your health and your well-being, especially when many of these items are not actually medically or scientifically proven to be good for your well-being. There have been a few lawsuits laid against Goop, and even one in 2018 over eggs that it was selling made of jade and rose quartz that it claimed could be used to boost overall health as well as sexual health. Now, I don't know about you, I personally love collecting gemstones. I love that whole idea. However, I don't know if I would say it's, medically sound. While the lawsuit wasn't won in court, Goop did ultimately decide to settle and was even issued a warning from the courts, an injunction, which basically forced the company to provide scientific proof for any health-based claims it makes in the future. As it should be. You should have something to back that up if you're gonna make a claim, Overall though, I would say that most people know at this point about Goop based on its reputation, but I'm sure there are some out there who are still being scammed, thinking that their products are some kind of miracle cure-all when, they aren't medically proven to be necessarily anything of the sort. Number 4. FaZe Clan. If you aren't aware, FaZe Clan is a massive esports and entertainment group with multiple teams that play professionally, competing in various types of games, from sports to fighting games to FPSs. But while FaZe already makes a ton just based on their fundraising around their teams and their actual success playing in tournaments, and of course their sponsors, they haven't seemingly been content with all the money they earn from all of that. Instead, they turned to seemingly shilling out altcoins, sometimes dubbed as shitcoins on the internet. Now, FaZe isn't alone in this alleged scheme though. You may have seen many influencers or content creators or full-on Hollywood celebs that you follow do exactly this. FaZe took to Twitter a few years back as cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Doge were soaring to endorse a new altcoin, Bank Social. They promised their followers a $10,000 giveaway, which you could enter by following Bank Social online, in addition to liking and retweeting the tweet they put out. Did they ever give away the 10K? We don't really know. I couldn't find any information on it. But what we do know is that while Bank Social initially saw a massive spike following the tweet being put out, it also then plummeted the same day. Ouch. And another FaZe Clan member responded to the tweet, claiming that he had already seen 2 times the growth with his investment. Now, running the numbers, that would actually have meant that he would have had to invest before the coin even spiked, meaning that he maybe timed it so that when the tweet went out, he could make that money. We don't know for sure, but it's interesting timing. That's all we can really say. Number 3. T.I. T.I. is a rapper, musician, actor, and producer, and also possibly an alleged scammer? Well, according to the SEC, the US Securities and Exchange Commission, he is. T.I. ended up being charged in 2020 with fraudulent activity after promoting the sale of unregistered currency known as Flick tokens. I do like that name though, Flick tokens. F-L-I-K. Not only that, but T.I. also claimed to be a co-owner of Flick during this, while in actuality, he wasn't. He also asked a fellow celeb friend to promote Flick on his behalf, and T.I. made himself over $100K on the alleged scam, but was issued a fine of $75,000 after being caught, and also was banned from getting involved in cryptocurrency promotions for a minimum of 5 years by the SEC, or any other digital assets, can't promote them. Oof. Number 2. Logan Paul. Oh boy. So I actually heard about this one through Moist Critical, who actually heard about it through CoffeeZilla, and it's really the main scam on this list for me that I didn't have to look too much into since I was already pretty well versed in it. Alleged scam, of course, because, you know, there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions in this. The long and short of it is that Logan Paul basically planned to launch this app that was called Crypto Zoo, which is a game that you play and you can allegedly combine animals and make NFTs, and basically like you get crypto through it, allowing you to have fun while you also make money. He seemed genuinely hyped about this project up until its launch, and then the app went live. The app for many fell short of what was promised to them, and at its worst, according to some who used it, wasn't even really functional. CoffeeZilla did a 3-part expose on Crypto Zoo calling out Logan, who initially responded with his own video where he also threatened to sue CoffeeZilla for defamation and illegal use of a private conversation before changing his tune. And if you're like, well, legal use of a private conversation is pretty intense, that's true, but CoffeeZilla is also based in Texas, so actually he was fine with that because it's a one party, it goes one way, it doesn't have to be a 2-way agreement, so yeah. Number 1. Soulja Boy. In case you were wondering if Soulja Boy is still around and what he has been up to, I can confirm that he is still around, but what he may be up to is allegedly scamming his fans. I'll let you decide though. An internet sleuth known as ZachXBT on Twitter seems to have done some digging and found that Soulja Boy, who in recent years moved from the world of music to cryptocurrency finance, has been promoting a ton of altcoins that it turned out many of which were just straight up scams, so it seems. Not only that, but Soulja Boy also got hit for promoting crypto brands without disclosing to his followers that his endorsement was a paid advertisement. You gotta do that, guys. If you're being paid or you're getting something, you should always tell people and just be honest with them. You can still love something, but be paid to endorse it as well. That's also fine.
Number 10. Worst of the bunch. Of all the members of the clan, Kendall Jenner has been consistently brought up as simultaneously the most relatable and the meanest. She may take up the most points on this list all by her lonesome. As the first and probably most minor complaint against her, a TikTok video where a fan recalled meeting Kim Kardashian in New York City also happened to throw shade at Kendall at the same time. In the video, the TikToker praised Kim for being, quote, the most polite celebrity I've ever met. Talking about the celebrities that she has met, the TikToker said, quote, including Kendall, who I can't say the same about. It was interesting how when the conversation was about Kendall specifically, the TikToker made note that, quote, Kendall could learn a thing or two. The post made its way to Reddit where other fans joined in on the conversation and their opinions on Kendall. One user wrote, Kendall has always just given me that reserved, wiry, shy but rude kind of vibe on the show. I wasn't sure if that was her in character. There was also one commenter that claimed to not know a single Keeping Up with the Kardashians fan who had a positive experience when meeting Kendall Jenner in real life. And here's an example of that very thing. Number 9, no tip for you. Back in 2014, a waitress accused Kendall Jenner of skipping out on a $60 bill and not leaving a tip. But wait, when the waitress allegedly chased after Kendall Jenner to get the money, Kendall turned around and threw cash in the woman's face and then laughed. It doesn't even sound like real life. The waitress then took to Twitter saying, quote, that horrible moment when you chase a Kardashian down the street because she forgot to pay her bill to be thrown money in your face. Kendall did respond to the rumors, but by calling them ridiculous, and she then had her lawyers whip up a cease and desist letter to the server. Nothing kinda says guilt like an instant cease and desist letter. I wouldn't know, I'm just thinking that's what it's like. 3 years later though, Kendall was also not a good customer at a bar in Brooklyn when a server posted a since deleted picture of a bill for just $24 that Kendall had signed but left the tip field blank. Now Kendall responded to this one as well, but by saying that she paid in cash, but the bar accused her of lying. What are your thoughts on tipping? I know that it's one of the main benefits of waiting tables or bartending, so to skip out on that for me is pretty vile. Number 8, Sugar Factory. All those many years ago, back in 2016, Kendall's younger sister, Kylie Jenner, was at the opening of Sugar Factory in Orlando, Florida. For her arrival, Kylie had around 3,000 of her fans waiting for her, only for them to apparently be disappointed. The official press release from Sugar Factory themselves, of course, had almost entirely positive things to say surrounding the opening and Kylie's participation in it, but one publication, Star Magazine, seemed to see things a little differently. Coming from an insider source, the magazine got reports that Kylie's appearance at the opening was actually, quote, a huge disappointment, and that apparently she was rude to the majority of her fans. Star Magazine stated that apparently the youngest of the Kardashians/Jenners apparently showed up to the event an hour late, and if that weren't bad enough, she only stayed for about 5 minutes to take a few selfies and then just dipped on out of there, leaving fans dissatisfied and disappointed. Number 7, fitness. For a period of time in like the mid-2010s, Khloe Kardashian was pretty heavily focused on her fitness and getting into shape. Hell yeah, we love living healthily. But going along with that time in her life, Khloe would often post her workouts on social media, specifically Snapchat, for fans to follow along to and get themselves in shape alongside the celebrity. But as usually is the case, there was criticism, and some fans didn't think the videos were all that good. Well, Khloe understandably snapped back on Snapchat in 2017. With the pottiest of potty mouths, she addressed the seemingly impossible to please fans, saying, quote, what bothers me so much about people is that I'm giving you guys my workouts on my snaps for free. She continued on, quote, why the F are you still complaining and saying, if I had a trainer, if I had a gym? Well, I don't have a gym. We're doing everything outside. I'm showing you guys how to do the workouts so you don't need a trainer. I'm using everything that I'm sure you guys have around the house or could improvise. What the F? To be completely honest, I actually kind of agree with her. To complain that the videos she made out to share her experience and to try and help people who want to work out aren't good enough is kind of just a little rude. But then again, she also said if only complaining burned calories, you guys would be some healthy I can't say the whole of the sentence, but you get what I'm saying? Kinda weighing it out. Number 6, nobodies. Now, we all need to just sit back and take this one with a little itty tiny bitty grain of salt. When a magazine uses the words insider source, more than half the time, it's just someone off the internet or someone who is not actually an insider, and therefore their statements cannot be taken as fact. It's also worth noting that most people have found Kim to be the nicest person of the family when meeting fans. But that being said, Kim Kardashian allegedly calls her fans stupid little nobodies. According to Star magazine, in 2012, an insider source, quote unquote, told the publication that, quote, Kris has text and voicemails from Kim where she calls her audience gullible, ouch, stupid imbeciles, ooh, boring little nobodies, yikes, and pathetic people with no lives of their own. Mic drop. Ouch. My feelings are hurt. I'm not a fan, but my feelings are still hurt. Don't be so rude. If you didn't actually say those things though, I'm sorry. And you're great, Kim. You're a great person. Number 5. Well then, I'm sure that most of us can agree that social media, but specifically Twitter, is a cesspool of meme lords, trolls, and keyboard warriors. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Twitter is like a breeding ground for hot takes, upsetting political stances, taking shots at famous people who would never normally give you the time of day, and, apparently, wannabe sports commentators. Those very same sport fans found a way to both comment on the state of the Cleveland Cavaliers and take shots at Khloe Kardashian in one swift move. One Twitter user tweeted, presumably as a joke, quote, Cavs haven't been playing too well since Khloe Kardashian. Just saying. That's because Khloe had been in a toxic as hell relationship with Tristan Thompson, who was playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. For the record though, it was Tristan that was the toxic one, but in defense of her boo and the team he plays for, Khloe decided to clap back, and in her well-worded rebuttal, Khloe tweeted, quote, they are number 1 in their conference, but thanks for sucking my expletive. Hard enough to think I have that much power. Lick on my expletive while you're at it. I think we can all agree Khloe is truly a wizard of words. A true poet, I think. Very nice. Very good. Number 4. Selfie. Last year, Hulu's Victoria's Secret documentary was available for the world to watch, but one clip from the documentary in particular caught some attention, and it was Kendall Jenner, back again, being a true Scorpio. It's a very short clip, but essentially the scene sees Kendall sitting on what looks like a makeup chair with a silk pink robe on, and a group of fans behind her. Basically, Kendall reaches back, takes a phone from one of the fans, snaps a couple selfies, and then hands it back. That's all that happened, but the whole thing was just so funny because, other than the brief moment where she smiled for the selfie, Kendall was not just straight-faced, but she had the stank face on. The one where you really just ain't there to even pretend to be nice to people. That kind of face. I feel like we all know what we're talking about. The fan looked like she was being silently told off when Kendall handed that phone back, and when Kendall turns back to camera with this annoyed eyebrow raise kind of thing, she looks like she wishes she would be anywhere else. Of course, the clip made its way to Twitter where people voiced their thoughts, like this one person who tweeted, quote, this clip of Kendall from the Hulu Victoria's Secret doc really says a lot about who she probably is. Someone on Reddit added, quote, that eyebrow raise and look of annoyance is irritating my soul. One more person did make a good point though when they wrote, it is actually disgusting. They forget that the fans are the reason they have what they have. And that is primarily kind of true, ain't it? Number 3, not in the mood. Now look, being a celebrity, having people wanting to take pictures with you all the time can be very exhausting, and celebrities have every right to say no when they don't want to take pictures with their fans. Point blank. Just as every person is allowed to say they don't want to pose for a picture. In an episode of Kourtney and Khloe Take the Hamptons, Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick are off taking a casual ride through his childhood neighborhood in an old convertible. As is bound to happen, a few girls end up noticing them at a stop sign and they ask if they can take a picture with the stars. Scott was all for it, saying sure, but Kourtney quickly follows up with no! And they continued on with their drive through memory lane. Now Scott apologized to the fans saying, alright, sorry, she said no, as they drove off, and Scott is like, that's not very nice, and she explains she simply didn't want to get out of the car and that she's, quote, not in the mood for a pic. Honestly, fair, she doesn't have to be, but I think she could have maybe been just a wee bit nicer about it. I don't know. What do you think? Number 2, best spot in the shade. Ever been asked to move so a celeb can take a photo shoot where you were comfortably chillin'? Well, a TikToker by the name of Lizudel called out Kim Kardashian for allegedly booting her out of this really chill area at Revolve Festival that was right by a lake with really nice grass, some decent shade, and it had a fire pit. It was a good spot to get, but it was also a great spot for a photo shoot, and that's exactly what Kim wanted it for. The caption in the clip says, quote, right before Kim K kicked us out of this shady chill spot at Revolve, with the caption accompanying the clips reading, much love to your photo shoot, which is kind of like passive aggressive, so obviously the TikToker was a little peeved about it, but to be completely fair, reactions in the comments were pretty mixed. Some folks agreed and thought that it was messed up for Kim Kardashian to ask anyone to move, but others made a good point. Kim was promoting the brand Revolve that were running the festival in the first place, so these fans reasoned that it's fair that Kim gets to choose where she wants the photos taken. One comment read, quote, "Well duh, they invited influencers. Nobody knows who you are. They're gonna make you move." And that actually seemed to make a little bit of sense to a lot of people and to me as well, to be perfectly honest, but at the same time, when an area is available publicly for everyone, being expected to move so that Kim Kardashian can take a photo, it kinda sucks. Number 1, even at the airport. We gotta end the list with Kendall Jenner yet again. I'm so sorry. There are just so many more instances of Kendall being less than great with people as there are for any of the other Kardashians. As part of an ongoing series, a former LAX employee has been taking to TikTok, ranking her experiences with some of the many celebrities she's crossed paths with during her years working at the airport. Kendall Jenner was one of those celebrities, and the TikTok did not paint her in a great picture. The former employee described her interactions with Kendall saying, quote, "Every time she flew out, she was not really friendly to anybody and just walked around like really arrogant." Then she slapped Kendall with a 2 out of 10 rating. 2 is pretty good, right? It's 1 more than 1 and 2 more than 0, so I'd say that's something. This TikTok pretty heavily reminds me of the first and second point on this list. I promise I don't have anything against Kendall, she just seems to be the one who consistently gets called out for being a little unsavory with employees and general people. While it's possible these are just instances of negative experiences staffers had with Kendall, the consistency of the bad experiences, coupled with all that we have seen from Kendall and everyone else, doesn't paint a great picture of her or anyone's character.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have Katy Perry. Have you seen all the drama surrounding Katy Perry and American Idol? Well, if you haven't, let me get you caught up. So recently, a 25-year-old mom who was bullied by Katy Perry on American Idol decided to quit the show while on stage in tears. When Sarah Beth Libby first appeared in front of the judges to perform "You Know I'm No Good" by Amy Winehouse, many viewers criticized Katy Perry and the comments she made during Sarah's audition. Sarah would later open up in a TikTok video in which she described the incident as being hurtful and embarrassing by saying there was a joke that was made that's gotten so much attention, and she then went on to say, "At the start of my audition, before I sang, I mentioned that I had 3 children and I was a young mother, and Katy Perry made a joke that wasn't super kind. Now the mom of 3 has decided to call it quits, and it's not for the reason you might assume. In an episode of the singing contest, she sang Roxanne by the Police before suddenly quitting and telling the judges after finishing her song, 'The opportunity is really rad, but this is actually going to be my last performance because my heart's at home. So I'm going to get home to my babies, thank you.'" With Sarah returning to the stage, Katy Perry would then beg the contestants not to leave, but Sarah stood her ground and left the show. And now we're all wondering if Katy Perry might be replaced as a judge on the show. Number 9, Justin Bieber. Well, we all know Justin Bieber is all about his personal space, and in 2017, he would show his fans that they probably shouldn't approach him and ask him for a selfie or an autograph. While Justin was in Australia for a leg of his world tour, he was approached by a female fan looking to take a selfie on the street, but instead, she would be left in tears. During the encounter, which was filmed and shared on the internet, the singer rebuffed her request by telling her, "Look at your respect level, look at you, you make me sick." In one swift move, he then took some bite of his food that he was holding and got into his car. His Melbourne fan then recalled during an interview on Nova 969, "I took the photo anyways because I thought, when am I ever going to have this moment in my life?" Well, Justin went on to receive some major backlash for how he handled the situation. In a brief dispute, the star seemed to go into digital damage control, uploading more photos of himself welcoming his fans, including a throwback photo of him shaking hands with a young girl on the beach. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what we might just cover next. Coming back to our list, in the number 8 spot today, we we have Jennifer Lawrence. Did you know Jennifer Lawrence once made a grown man cry in a bar before? Well, apparently she did, and she even talked about the incident when she appeared on the popular chat show Late Night with Seth Meyers. When Jennifer was in the capital of Hungary for the shooting of Red Sparrow, when she ventured into the bar on a night with some friends, she would be drinking with her company when a fan approached the group and asked Jennifer to take a selfie with him. When the actress declined to take a photo with him, he apparently kept on insisting, to the point Jennifer and her friends had to ask him to leave them alone. Things quickly then took a sharp turn after the man got agitated and said "F you" to Lawrence, which then riled up the star, and she snapped, and she then grabbed her fan, threw a drink in his face, and then poured it all over his suitcase. And after her friends stopped her from doing anything else so insane, she then noticed her fan was in tears. Number 7, Miley Cyrus. So Kendall Jenner has been a fan of Miley Cyrus for a while now, so it probably didn't sit so well with the model after Miley Cyrus recently called her out on her mean girl behavior. So at the height of Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber's ongoing feud, after it was revealed that Kendall Jenner helped Hailey Bieber make fun of Selena Gomez in a video, news would shortly start to circulate online that Miley made Kendall cry at the Versace fashion show in Los Angeles. Apparently, like the rest of us, she didn't like the way Kendall and her buddy Hailey were being mean girls towards Selena, and she wanted to call them out on it. So no one really knows what Miley said or didn't say to the model, but not long after the rumor went viral, Selena then posted a selfie and tagged Miley and captioned the picture by saying "Violent Chemistry," which is a song from Miley's new album, and fans immediately started to suspect the post was connected to Kendall's and Miley's confrontation. Number 6, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire isn't your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and yes, he did play Spider-Man, but that doesn't mean his nice on-screen persona can be found behind the scene, as apparently the star isn't as nice as he seems, especially when it comes to his fans. With there being several reports of the star displaying in some pretty odd behavior when it comes to interacting with any of his fans, he once took things a little too far. When Tobey was walking back to his hotel in Paris, a fan walking right beside him held out a camera in front of the star to snap a picture of his face. Looking annoyed, Tobey then out of nowhere slapped his fan's hand, which caused him to drop his camera, and it shattered on the sidewalk. So as Tobey continued to walk away with his entourage, his fan would be left in tears. Number 5, Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj seriously caused some major chaos in 2022 when she had to cancel her meet and greet in London on the spot. When the rapper was arranging to meet her fans at a venue in Camden in midday, the event quickly spiraled out of control after thousands of fans showed up. When Nicki eventually appeared hours later than what was originally scheduled, she was mobbed by the crowd and even had to be escorted back to her SUV before speeding away. In a since deleted TikTok video from the chaotic scene, it would show Nicki pushing a fan while she was attempting to make her way through the crowd to the venue on foot. Despite fans ignoring Nicki's pleas to form an orderly fashion line outside of the venue, Nicki would make the decision to cancel her meet and greet, and then the police would issue a statement saying it was shut down by the event managers due to safety concerns. And as Nicki drove off, fans started to cry and chase her car down the street. Number 4, Britney Spears. Back in November 2022, Alexa Nicholas would recall a time Jamie Lynn Spears had her older sister Britney Spears yell at the actor on set to the point she became a crying mess, as she recalled all the trauma she had to deal with while working on the Nickelodeon set. During the podcast, Alexa recounted that a talent coordinator told her mom he was taking her to get her hair and makeup done, but instead he brought the preteen to talk with Britney. At first, Alexa was excited because she was a huge fan. She thought Britney was just going to help her and Jamie Lynn work through their problems. But after going into Jamie Lynn's trailer, Britney started yelling at her as Jamie Lynn hid in the back room. While Britney has come out to apologize to the star, Alexa would acknowledge how she was a crying mess, and that the show's creator even had to give her a DVD player in order to get her to stop crying so she could finish filming. With Jamie's bullying only getting worse as the set carried on, no one really cared for Alexa since it was called Zoe 101 and not Nicole 101, but I think we can all agree Nicole 101 would have been a great show. Number 3, Lea Michele. When Haley Steinfeld was 14 years old, she was auditioning for True Grit on the Paramount lot, and while she was getting ready to leave, she ran into Lea Michele, who was filming Glee. When Haley walked up to the actress and asked her for an autograph, things quickly took a sharp turn after Lea ignored her and continued to walk by the young actress. A guy then came out of nowhere and told Haley it just wasn't a good time. So as Haley walked back to her car wearing an uncomfortable outfit from the 1800s, she would go on to cry the whole way home, because she was really upset at the person who's been a main inspiration for her own acting work was so rude to her. At the end of the day, I think we can all agree Lea should have at least greeted Hailey and told her it wasn't a good time herself instead of storming off. Number 2. Jennifer Lopez. Back in 2014, Jennifer Lopez would be left cringing after one of her superfans dissolved into tears after being rejected on American Idol. With no content with attempting to win Idol, bubbly Ronald Reed was out on a mission to end poverty by trying to make the world a better place. However, when Ronald caught sight of Lopez, he then sat down to share a tuneless ballad, which sent the judges, including Jennifer, squirming in their seats. To the point Jennifer even told him that his voice wasn't strong enough. Keith Urban then had to take over and tell Ronald that he was really sweet, as Reed searched desperately for his mojo after being belittled by Jennifer, as she made fun of his lack of melody. Reed would then be sent home, while 33 other hopefuls made it through to the next round. And coming in at number 1 on our list today, we have Demi Lovato. Back in 2016, Demi Lovato would come to learn about how she crushed one of her younger fans after she canceled her concert. With Isabella Miklos being 10 at the time, she was looking forward to seeing Demi Lovato perform with Nick Jonas in Virginia Beach. After her family pulled their money together to buy her the tickets for Christmas as a reward for her excellent grades at school, when she found out the concert was cancelled due to a scheduling conflict, Isabella would be left feeling utterly devastated. In frustration over her child's unhappiness, Isabella's mother then took to her Facebook to share the images of her daughter looking excited on Christmas Eve when she was given the tickets, to crying in the car after learning it was cancelled. With Demi cancelling her concert just for the opportunity to be on TV, it upset a lot of fans, which is strange since the pop star has always been the one of those few artists which uses her platform to preach about empowerment, and she has so much pride in her work that she's always considered her fans to be her top priority. But then when she canceled her concert to be on TV and said it was a scheduling conflict, it was really just a sad excuse.